Something special is happening on the Wellesley College campus. There's a large effort led by Christine Cruz Vergara to reimagine career services. I sat down with her to unpack what is it like to lead a massive change? What is it like to think about new staff competencies needed? And how do we integrate into the campus ecosystem to do something radically different, something innovative, something extraordinary, something uniquely helpful? So let's spend some time talking about a concept that you've talked to me about, and I've heard you talk about, the university ecosystem. What is it? Why is it important for the work that we do?
So I think of the university ecosystem as a complex network and an integrated system of people, of processes, and of procedures in how we do our work. And so obviously, it includes students, faculty, alumni, employers, campus partners, right? Just to name a few, parents. And what it really means is, as career centers or career education professionals, how do we activate that network and leverage that network to bring all of those various constituents together to strengthen how we prepare our students, how we guide them through this process, how we advise them on ways in which they might want to think about their next steps or how to actually be competitive for their next step. How do we want to re-engage alumni so that they continue to give back, right? It's all cyclical. And I think the network allows us to better support each other in that effort.
We've been talking about partnerships for a long time in our field, but ecosystem integration seems a little bit different than just partnering on a program. Help me understand the difference between the two.
So for me, I see the difference as partnership being more programmatic and the ecosystem being more systemic. And so for me, partnership might be a particular collaboration or co-sponsor on a finite program or entity, something that's sort of neatly packaged up, right? You work together on this event, you work together on this fair, you work together on this particular program that you have for students. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's sort of how I view partnership in that way. For me, the ecosystem integration is more about creating systems and processes that span across the entire university or college that you're at that really embed career into the culture. So it's not a silo, it's not peripheral, it's actually embedded. And for every institution that will look different because you have to build it to your culture. But for some that might mean more integration into the academic side of the house. For some that might mean heavy integration into recruitment and enrollment management. For some that might be heavy integration into advancement or alumni affairs, right? Or maybe all of the above. But that's how I see the difference between partnership versus actual integration into the systems of how things are done.
So can lasting change happen without ecosystem integration?
I'm biased, but I would say no. I think for it to really take hold, it has to be integrated or it doesn't become part of the culture, right? Like, so at Wellesley, we want students eventually to walk away and graduate from Wellesley, and when they think about their Wellesley experience, they don't just think about their faculty. They're also thinking about how they prepared for their internships and how they thought about their life beyond Wellesley, how they were engaged with their community. And in thinking about that, they think about career education. We're just simply a part of that overall Wellesley experience.
Talk to us about scale.
Okay.
How do you scale things? You have a big staff, but some might even argue that it's not big enough.
I love that.
I'm not sure I've met too many career centers on the planet that would say that they have the right sized staff. But how do you scale your people?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that again is this concept of how the ecosystem can really support the work in which you are doing, right? So for us, we have 35,000 living alumni, right? And we serve them for life. And we actually know from our population of alumni that they would like to engage with our career center well into their 60s and beyond, even after retirement. Fantastic. Right? And that's across the board, not just those that are struggling to figure out what their next step are, but those that have been extremely successful in their careers that are thinking about some different pivots and transitions. I can't build a staff big enough to actually actively serve all 30-some thousand alumni in a way that is true to the personal touch, right? And so I need to rely on my ecosystem. I have some amazing alumni that are coaches. I have some amazing alumni that are business leaders in our community, and they live in all these various cities across the world, and we could tap into their expertise. We can engage them in providing advice. We can use them for panels and for speakers and for coaches and for advisors. We don't have to do the work all alone, but we can really tap into the resources and the people who actually want to be engaged in this way. And I think that would be true for other institutions who might be feeling like they don't have enough staff. Well, how do you use your alumni in a more structured and integrated way? How might you use your faculty in a more structured or integrated way to embed them into the process or the system of what you're trying to build?
Your best advice on breaking down silos?
I think it starts with listening to the other side. I'll just take it from the perspective of a silo within your office, and then I'll talk about silos across the institution. But I think in either sense, if you are sensing that there's a silo, it's reaching out and listening to what that team or that department or that entity feels is most important to them. What is the goal, the objective, the agenda that they are trying to reach? And then taking some time to reflect on that and figuring out what could possibly be your value proposition to that particular entity. And then you have to take the responsibility of trying to figure out how to make that connection and to draw that connection in a way that that person or people might understand.
So the idea of communities, career communities, this has been on your radar for a while. You were an early thought leader in creating the concept and implementing it early on a few years ago at Mason. Talk about why that is so important now for career centers.
I think it kind of goes back to a lot of what we've been talking about in this conversation, which is we're stronger together. And when we come together, we're able to significantly expand the number of opportunities and the ways in which we support each other, right? The other reason I think community is so key, and certainly one of the reasons why we focus on it here at Wellesley, is we want our students to understand that they are part of something bigger than themselves. They're part of a community of women and of people that have paved the way before them, that are there to listen, that are there to share the struggles that they've gone through, that are there to explain the successes and how they got there. And it is also our students' responsibility as being part of this community to reach back and to do the same thing with those after them. And that it's cyclical, and it's just part of being a group. And I think that in essence is what makes, for us, the Wellesley network so powerful.
There are career leaders in a similar seat as yours that are leading multiple offices. And growing integrated partnerships are happening with academic advising units or with enrollment management or with advancement offices. Talk about what integrations you have at Wellesley, and then what are the one or two key stakeholders that you feel like this integration has to be crucial?
So for us, my portfolio includes career education, It includes fellowships and scholarships, and it also includes community engagement, or for other offices at other schools, it might be called service learning.
Oh, yeah.
So for us, those three entities really come together. It was important to me that all three are bound by the overall vision that we have in how we're moving forward, and that we all function as one office, because it allows our work to be a lot stronger. And so fellowships and community engagement are a part of our exploration and experiential learning team, which gives us the flexibility and the expansiveness to not only talk to students about the types of experiences they're having engaging both here on campus but also off campus, but to really help define what does it mean to be part of a community, what does it mean to serve, what does it mean to take your interests and find ways in which you can connect that in different ways. So it's been much more seamless, that process of exploration for our students into the career conversation.
Let's say I've been doing great at partnerships, but I want to move into this area of ecosystem integration and lead bigger change that's systemic. Where do I start?
I think there are two places to first think about. The first is figuring out what your institution values. What would your institution, your college or university, what would they say is unique about them? What are their strengths or their assets? And then build a model that actually leverages that capitalizes on those strengths and those assets, so that you can really highlight and more fully integrate and build into the system of what your institution already values. That would be the first. The second is figure out who are the most influential people at your institution, and why are they the most influential people on your campus, and then start to build a relationship with those individuals. And when I say build a relationship, I mean a genuine one, and one where you're actually figuring out what your value proposition is to them. Not how they can help you, but how can you help them? How does your work connect to their agenda, or to what it is they care about? Because if they're some of the most influential people on your campus, they probably are somehow hitting on the values that your institution cares about the most, right? Which is the first thing that I mentioned. So I think if you can figure out those two pieces, the rest will start to fall into place, and you'll be able to execute a model that really is more integrated in a systemic way.
So I'm a new director. It's my first few months.
Okay?
What advice do you have for me?
It's gonna be okay. It'll be fine. You know, I don't know if everybody has felt the way that I have felt, but certainly as a new director, and even not as a new director, for me, there's an element of the imposter syndrome. You know, questioning whether or not I can do this, and if I'll be able to succeed, and what if everybody figures out that I'm just a huge fraud, right? Like, I'm sure those anxieties are fairly normal. So I think for any new director, I would say whatever you're feeling, you're probably not alone. It is very normal. And I would probably say there are going to be moments where you will feel lonely, and it is so critical for you to build a group and to find a cohort of like-minded individuals that will be real with you, that will be your sounding board, that you can trust, that you can talk to, that's outside of your institution, that you can go to anytime, because you're going to need that. Whether it's 3 months in or whether that's a year in, you're going to need those people to go to.
What stood out to you that makes you the most proud in this last year?
Oh, the team we built. The team we built. We're only as good as the team we have, and the quality of people that we've been able to attract and to bring onto our team is truly what has crafted this new culture and has allowed us to serve our students and our alums in a very different way. And it's also the most tangible piece of progress that we've seen as we move forward. So my team would absolutely be what I'm most proud of.
So good to be with you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.